there's a reason for that. But space and light are components of healing. I will add to that knowledge of new possibilities. Okay? So if somebody tells you that they landed in a dark cave, okay, with snakes and scorpions, you know something's like really not quite. This is the place you really like. Excuse me, like hello. Something's not quite right for that with that person. But space and light, what we do ultimately, if you want to, like to think of what we do in the non-technical terms, we provide space and light to people, and it's really important. Now, we might provide them the knowledge of new possibilities, because without accepting new possibilities, how can they heal? It's always going to be the same. There's no change, right? But it's something that they need to provide. It's the patient that provides the knowledge of new possibilities. You're tweaking into that. So a patient who comes in and does not believe in new possibilities usually will not show up, unless it's their wife that told them to go. That's like seriously, that's the typical sort of situation. I really don't believe in it, but my wife tells me I should. Chances of that patient getting better is not terribly strong. Okay, it can happen. I'm not saying it can't, but that's just something for us to kind of consider that, on a large scheme of things, that's what we do. Okay, the rest is technique. And now we're kind of moving into the technique per se. So we will look, the rest of the class will be fairly technical. But I wanted to kind of keep that in mind. I call this class Finding and Treating the Root. I have to call each class a little differently, so the acupuncture board will give us different CUs for each class. Kind of thing, that's why it's the same damn class with different patients, right? Who's going to come, right? So what I'm trying to emphasize is really the thing we talked about before the class started, that for me, this style is very much not, and this is why I'm very different than David in some ways. David and I started teaching, I probably started teaching maybe a little earlier than David, but we're basically sort of the same generation. And we both found out this complaint that people have, if you could call it that. I go to Kiiko and I'm overwhelmed and I don't understand the word she's saying, and she's, blah, 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 blah. How do we give a systematic presentation of this material is really, has been the koan of this. And some of us started noticing, now I will tell you that when I started studying with Kiiko, it was very hard to see this, now we all talk about, look at the medical history. It wasn't like that in 1992. Okay, it kind of was, but it was certainly not expressed. So it took time to sort of look at the patterns. And I was very lucky in the sense that when I finished acupuncture school, I didn't have debt. I had the privilege to be able to go around and study and do things, and both study with people here and to go to lots of classes. And I followed Kiiko everywhere, basically. So I had the capacity to sort of observe this a little bit more closely and start asking the questions on what the hell is this? It's not like, oh, you do this for this, all the tricks. Yeah, they're fascinating, they're fun, but there's more to it than the tricks. So we started teaching a more systematic approach to this, so that people, when they go, they don't get overwhelmed by the accent, and Kiiko loves to put a good show, right? But that good show is also kind of not always conducive for people who want A, B, C. So around 1995, I started teaching, a systematic approach. David, as far as I know, I don't know. I talked to David, but I don't know what he does. Probably still does, because by personality, he likes the systematic approach. And it's very important to get that. I actually am trying to do something very different, which is try and see how you can, the abdomen may say something, but how do you get it something different? So, when you look at the root, you cannot just listen to the abdomen, and you also cannot just listen to the medical history. You have to combine them, and then you have to test. You have to come up with some idea, and you have to test it. Okay? And that's the tricky part, and that's the part that's really difficult for people to grasp, because we all want protocols. Okay, so for example, I'm also well known for being the person who brought Jeffrey to San Francisco 20-something years ago, and Jeffrey also taught a very different style than he does now, and everybody now wants the Jeffrey Yuen protocols. You know, it's like we want it, like, you know, and that's how, as a result, he kind of teaches that way. And that was definitely not how he taught, you know, like until probably 15 years ago. So I'm really not big into the protocols, but I will give you a whole bunch of them, because without protocols we don't have common language. But what I want to give you is a way of thinking. So within that way of thinking, sorry, I put the abdomen on the board, but I really shouldn't have done that. It's a waste. So I'm going to say something like this. The first thing we do is medical history, and I have a terrible handwriting. A patient comes in, you want to know the medical history. Never take a patient, try not to take patients, unless you're treating them on the street sort of thing, which I do also, that you don't know the medical history. So I have a form, if you want, you can look it up on my website. It's totally stolen, that form. It's not mine, you can steal it also from me. It's not a problem. And I will tell you that it's kind of funny, that form, Kiiko only looks at the first slides. So she only sees the childhood diseases. It's very funny. It's like she never flips the page, and she stopped. In fact, I went there a few years ago, and she didn't even have the second side, which is the adult side. So it's kind of interesting. So it tells you something like, here we are, we're paying great reverence to medical history, and whoops, maybe not. So you can do, but I'm telling you what I think is the best. You know, then we check the abdomen. Now, when I say abdomen, means abdomen, neck. The back I usually don't check until I flip them over. Okay, but when I say abdomen, I mean the body. So you get the findings from the body. Next, I correlate the two ideas, the two things so medical history basically, in an idealized patient, and a few of them are, you will get a first injury that basically made everything else happen. From that original injury. Now that original injury can be, my mother had a thyroid condition. It doesn't have to be yours, okay? So it can be something you inherited. Or I fell, I had this accident, I fell, and ever since then, everything else went bad. Or it may be, I had a weird vaccination, okay? So I have this vaccine scar here. They don't relate this vaccine to all their symptoms, but suddenly you're going, this vaccine, when I push on here, your whole abdomen changes, and by the way, your shoulder gets better. That's how you became for shoulder pain, okay? So what we're doing is we're trying to find in the medical history the one thing that will knock everything off. It's not always the first injury in our lives, but it's the first injury that matters in the medical history. Once that you have something in your medical history that catches you, that energetically you're now caught in that problem, other problems will start adding on and on and on, and now you have whatever it is that you have. Okay? So we're always trying to find the first injury. In the abdomen, we're so-called trying to find out what's most important in the abdomen. Now, where I believe there's a big mistake that happens out there is people started making this into the most important thing. And it's a little bit like saying, the abdomen to us, well, I'd say to me, because it's not fair to speak for other people, it's like taking the pulse. Let's say you're a pulse genius, okay? And you can tell, some people really can do amazing things with the pulse. And certainly, the Toyohari people claim that they can take the pulse, press on the point, and they can tell the pulse change because they press on the point. I argue with that, and the reason I argue is because I can do the same thing, but I can't be sure that it's my pressing that changed the pulse, because the pulse changes all the time. So that level of assurance comes after 20, 30, 40, 50, I don't know, however many years of experience that one has. It doesn't come with like, you took a year's worth of Toyohari, in my personal opinion. It's like, I can't argue with it, but the abdomen for us is like the pulse. It's an indication. And if I can clear the abdomen, it's an indication I'm doing something for the person. But it is not the person. The person is not their abdomen. Okay? You can't say, because the abdomen cleared, the person must get better. You'll see many cases where you can clear the abdomen, the person will get better. You'll see many cases the abdomen clears, the person does not get better. The abdomen doesn't clear, the person does get better. And abdomen doesn't clear, the person doesn't get better. All the combinations are possible. We're using the abdomen as a way to assess if what we're doing is correct. Okay? It doesn't mean that it is, just because the abdomen clears, doesn't mean it is correct, but it has a higher chance than, oh yeah, spleen 2 deficiency, stomach 36, spleen 6. Okay, and then what do? You wait for the patient to come the next week and tell you, oh yeah, that treatment sucked. Or, wow, that was the greatest treatment ever. Okay, we have a way of anticipating that we think it's likely to work. That's the purpose of the abdomen. To be able to assess my treatment. Okay, to give me more clues and assess my treatment. But if I start thinking that if I cleared the abdomen, I did my job, I'm wrong. Absolutely wrong. And this is, in my opinion, one of the problems with some of the Japanese meridian style people, is that they're so obsessed with clearing the polyps and finding the so-called root, but the person came for neck pain, you know, and they go, oh, I've been to classes with these people, and then you go, it's like, if you ask, how's the neck pain from the person who's on the table, they get pissed off. We treat the root, we don't treat the symptom. It's like, well, I hate to tell you, the patient didn't come to improve their pulse. The patient came because they have neck pain. Okay? They don't care if their pulse got better or if their abdomen got better. How many patients do you know that go like this? Nobody. Nobody cares. They care because they came. So the abdomen helps us. Don't make the abdomen into a god. So it's problematic because all of the protocols are related to abdominal findings. And that's what makes it hard, because now I'm asking you, well, okay, pay reverence, but abandon it also. And that's where it's going to get tricky. The third thing we do is we create a correlation. The medical history in the abdomen, so you're assessing what's going on and you're creating a strategy for yourself. Now, you need to understand, when I say you create a strategy or you diagnose, you did it for 1 second only. Okay? At that moment that you have a diagnosis, you came up with a protocol. So you correlate, came up with a protocol. And the last thing is you test. If the protocol proves good, now the question is going to be, what does it mean it proves good? Then you use it. If it didn't, let go. Let go of that diagnosis that you just came up with, which means that you may be going through 5, 6, 7, 8 possible diagnoses for a patient while they're on the table. Hopefully you don't go through that many. Because if you go through that many chances, that's usually the patient that you didn't catch the right thing. So the chance that you're going to catch the right thing diminishes as you move down your options. Okay? So when you test, now this is the big difference for me. When I test against the whole abdomen. Okay? Let's say you said this patient is adrenal. Right now I'm accepting that it's a word that may not mean anything to anybody. I know it means a lot to some of you. I decided this patient is adrenal type. I'm testing if my adrenal points, let's say I choose kidney 6. Okay? Does kidney 6 knock down the whole abdomen? Not does kidney 6 knock down below kidney 16, which is the official adrenal reflex. I want to know what else does it do. If it doesn't do a lot more, if it only does below kidney 16, fine, I may still use it. But I want to find out, do I have a trump card that's going to knock off 75% of the abdomen, 80% of the abdomen, 100% of the abdomen, plus the symptom? Okay? So a person who comes and they say, I was shoveling snow. I live north of Boston, okay, we've been shoveling a lot. Been shoveling snow and I have this terrible pain, I don't know, the back, the shoulder, whatever the wrist, or the neck, believe me, there's all the options of anything hurting, if you shovel enough. So, and you go, okay, we're in April right now, okay, and they've been shoveling January, February, maybe a teeny bit in March, but it's like, it's long enough that they shouldn't be hurting if they're healthy. Why? Now, some people come and they say, I've been shoveling 3 years ago and I'm hurting. Oh, I shoveled 20 years ago, I had this injury from shoveling, and ever since then I have boom. Okay? Why are they keeping this injury? And that's why the medical history is so important. There's something else that's coming up here. Okay? So when you treat that something else, whether it's cardiac conditions, so for example, if let's say it's a left side symptom, you think maybe it's cardiac and they have cardiac history. and you find cardiac reflexes and you treat them, and then they say, wow, my hip's much better, or my shoulder is much better, or whatever. Or you say, maybe it's right side, and you say, maybe they're a liver type, and you go, oh, do you come from a family of alcoholics, for example? Lots of people will say, yes, but I don't touch alcohol. They still show liver. It's an inherited disease, not the alcoholism itself necessarily, although I assume it is. But the liver, if you come from many generations of drinkers, your liver will show the weakness often. Okay? So there are many things, tricks like that you sort of go, what could be the issue? And if you find it in the body, you try, you test it, you press on points that you think will treat the liver or treat the cardiac or whatever. And then they go, oh yeah, my shoulder's much better, my hip is much better, or whatever. So don't just fix the abdomen, also fix the symptoms. So the whole point is do both and do as much of the abdomen as you can as opposed to just one thing. So that whole style, that's protocol style of, you have a ketsu, liver 4, lung 5. You have adrenal, kidney 6, 27. You have this, that. By the time you finish clearing the abdomen that way, how many protocols are you going to use? So the standard question that people have is, Avi, how many needles do you use? Or Kiiko, how many needles do you use? And Kiiko once said something like 20. She doesn't like going over 20. I don't know if it's even true. It's kind of irrelevant. My relevant answer is, it's not the number of needles. This is not TCM with thick, big needles. The needles don't matter, they're not depleting the chi, okay? What matters here is how many ideas are you using, okay? So if you're using more than 2 or 3 ideas, plus somewhat you'll see what I call fluff, okay? Like, okay, now that I've done my main ideas, I can like get a little extra mileage through this. You're doing more than 2 or 3, chances are it's too many, okay? Because then I don't have clarity about what happened to this person. Now, there are people you don't have a choice with, okay? I have patients that, you ask them to write their symptoms, and it's like 3 pages on an 8-point font, okay? It's like lots and lots of symptoms. Some people say, it's a karma, what can you do? And there's no, some of these you find one and it knocks it all off, but some of them, there's no way you can find a root cause on a patient like that sometimes. So it's okay. I mean, this is just a theoretical model to work with. Find the root cause, see if it affects, knocks down the abdomen, knocks down the symptom. Okay, that's my idealized situation. Okay, find the root cause. It could be more than one. Yes, it can. But if you're getting to 5 root causes, either this is a very knotted disease, you have so many roots, you'll never be able to uproot it, okay? Or your thinking isn't right. And both can be true. I can't tell you which one it's going to be, okay? So that's the kind of general outline of what I try and do, okay? Which is, that's why the protocols they come secondary in a sense, okay, to the way of thinking. And the way of thinking I can only explain to you by having people on the table. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky, because there's no one way of thinking. That's why I also encourage you, if you have questions, email me, I'll tell you what I think. Okay, period. It's kind of like, it works, it doesn't work, it's okay, no big deal. So let's get to some protocols so we have a common language. And so basically when I palpate one knuckle in. Okay, up to one knuckle in, actually, I should say. So that means, first of all, Kiiko likes to sit in her clinic. She sits, okay, and she usually holds the patient's legs like that often, and this is their head here, and she pokes. I tend to do it standing up. Okay, but sometimes I will. In my clinic, I don't have chairs right next to the table. It's not so convenient for me. So I stand, and I stand with my legs fairly wide apart. I'm not a little prima donna like a little Chinese girl with her feet together sort of thing. I stand like that because just like anybody who's done massage, you need your body mechanics. Okay, and I tend to have my hand on the table, and I poke. And we use 3 fingers in. I use my pericardium finger as a little feeling finger. So my focus is on my middle finger, but I actually have all 3 fingers going in. It's very uncomfortable to have 1 finger going in. No matter what, everybody's going to complain. And I move with my body in. Okay, so I'm actually moving into the patient. Now, you don't need to get any further than the length of the first knuckle in. Okay, you do not need to touch their spine to diagnose. Okay, so no, I mean people. Now, not 1 knuckle in is a lot more invasive than most other Japanese styles. Most Japanese people go like this. They don't push. This pushing thing is aggressive. Okay, that's why if you hold them, give them some comfort somewhere, you know, so that they feel held. So most Japanese people are kind of looking for dampness, temperature. They're not really looking for what we're looking for. It's different. This is a different style. So just to acknowledge that. Now in Japan, it's considered, you know, just like in China, if you publish a squirrel. If you publish a case history kind of thing in China, it's like always, patient came for blah, 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 blah. Have tongue like this, pulse like this, differential diagnosis like this. Usually no points. Herbs may not relate to the differential diagnosis at all. Okay, but that's what, but it's no, I mean that's the whole point. The standard in China is complaint, tongue, pulse, right? And if possible, maybe answer the 10 questions or whatever it is there. This is the standard. In Japan, there is a standard. You cannot present a case study without showing a picture of an abdomen. You don't write a book without saying, for this kind of patient, the abdomen will look like this. And then they'll ignore it, because that's what they do. I mean, I've been to a lot of these people, I've gone to their classes, and I'm kind of like, okay, you say this, but you do something totally different. This is the nature of medicine. We have to accept that. But for us, in the abdomen, we actually poke. Okay, it is aggressive. Okay? So let's look at abdomens. Previous one was a little nicer, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so we all like to start teaching with a protocol that we like Oketsu, and there's a reason for that. But actually, the reason for it is because it's an easy protocol, and it's kind of like it's like this is how you do it, kind of thing. There's not a lot of thinking, but in truth is so. In the mid '90s, first of all, Oketsu came around '95. We never heard of Oketsu beforehand. Example. I mean, maybe if you were in Japan and studying with Nagano, then maybe you did, but those of us who are here didn't. And for a while it was ever so important. It was like the most important finding ever, etc., etc., and then it kind of like went nowhere. Okay? It's not a finding you find a lot. You will, if you find it and it's someone with an irregular heartbeat, for example, yes, treat it. But just because we teach it first does not mean it's the most important thing. It just means it's easy for us to teach. We find Oketsu, left side stomach 26, 20. This drawing is really awful. I'm sorry. Even I can't see it. Well, didn't make it any better. This is the area of Oketsu. Left stomach 26, 27, just below, up to below kidney 16. Okay? It's a fit. This is by Nanjing liver reflex. Okay? Originally, when they found Oketsu, they actually found it in tuberculosis sanatoriums, and they were going, how come we're finding on all these tuberculosis patients? We're supposed to find right side. That's lung reflex should be on the right side. How come we're finding it on the liver side? This is tuberculosis, it's not hepatitis. And so what happens is, Oketsu basically means, we translate it to mean stagnant blood, but it really means viscous blood. Okay? When you're sick for a long time, you have infection for a long time, the blood will get a little viscous and it's slower. It doesn't move. It piles up a little bit. It doesn't move. Since the liver has a lot of blood, and the portal vein feeds into the liver, if the blood is slowish, sluggish, it's going to show on the left side on the portal vein. Okay, that's why it shows here. Is it somewhat related to liver? Yes, but is it a separate entity altogether? Okay, so yes. The treatment for that is left liver 4, left lung 5. Now, our liver 4, our liver 4 is 1 thumb below the ankle bone. Okay, not level of the ankle, not level with stomach 41. Okay, this is not liver 4, this is liver 4. And there'll be some puffiness there, and we needle totally upwards. Our lung 5 is not right next to the tendon, but more lateral. Okay, now liver 4 is a really interesting point. Okay, the name is
Zhongfeng.
Zhongfeng, and Feng means
it's like an envelope. Like it's like a measurement or measuring.
Okay, so meaning like
envelope. Yeah.
To regulate, something like that, right?
I think so.
Okay, so it's to regulate the center. Okay, is the name. You know, because in TCM nobody's ever heard of liver 4. Nobody cares. You know, liver 2, liver 3, right? Like who the hell cares about liver 4? For us, liver 4 is super, super important. That two things. First of all, by name it says to regulate the center. In the Ling Shu, chapter 2, it talks about all the points below the knee, below the ankles. And it just names them for all the channels, and then it talks about the throat, okay, the points of the throat, which the Worsley people like to call windows of the sky. Okay, the only point that it stops and mentions anything about is liver 4, and it says if you needle liver 4 against the meridian, you create havoc in the abdomen. If you needle it with the meridian, you create harmony in the meridian, which corresponds to the point name. Okay? So for us it's very important because our whole deal is create harmony in the abdomen, right? So we're really fascinated by this point, in a sense, whereas TCM people are totally not interested in. Okay? So liver 4, lung 5 on the left for Ketsu. Chances are of you doing it a lot, you know, that'll be taking you back 20 years, and we're not interested. Okay? But know it, it's there, it's fine. Okay. Yes?
Which gynecological problems do you tend to find Oketsu with?
Which gynecological problems? Theoretically, either dysmenorrhea or amenorrhea, because the blood is stagnant, supposedly. Supposedly, that's very theoretical. I wouldn't worry so much about Oketsu with gynecologists, quite honestly. It should be, yeah, in theory. And again, if I'm going to project back to the Clinton era, then it will be. But I'll wear a blue dress tomorrow.
I had a patient on Thursday and it cleared all the reflexes except Oketsu was still there. And so I thought, I'm going to do Oketsu. First time, I've done it a long time. Then I said, I forgot that they had low blood pressure. So I pressed under the third toe and it cleared out.
Everything also.
Cleared out the Oketsu totally.
Yeah. So one of the things, yeah, that's one, okay, one of the, so yes, it is important if the blood is sluggish, but it's not we used to think that only liver 4, lung 5 can clear Oketsu, and, you know, believe me, I have it on a good authority that Kiiko used to say that dogmatically quite a few times. I've heard it many times. Only, you know, and I was teaching and someone said to me, Avi, I can clear Oketsu with liver 3, large intestine 4, which is like, you know, it's like taking a red blanket in front of a bull for me. It's like the 2 points I hate the most, you know, besides stomach 36. You know, it's like, you know why? Because you've done them at school like a million times and they're boring already. And, you know, if you can avoid them, you will, if you have an interest in doing something different, you know, because otherwise you're throwing yourself back into the same things, the same workhorses. So what we did was, I said, okay, show me. So we checked a patient and she did large intestine 4, liver 3, and yes, it cleared Oketsu, but it didn't clear anything else. And then I did liver 4, lung 5, and it cleared everything else. So the trick is to be smart about, don't worry about clearing the abdomen. I mean, do worry about clearing the abdomen, but don't make this the most important thing. So the blood can be stuck for a number of reasons. Low blood pressure would be one of them. Another one of them could be in gynecological issues. They can have stuckness here, liver 12 area. Okay, so you need to resolve this. Okay? So there could be different reasons why they have this stagnant blood. Okay? So yes, the liver for lung 5 may do a good job, but if you can get to it something a different way, you might actually be smarter at it. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with liver for lung 5. Okay? I'm just saying it's not, just because I'm starting with it, don't start going, oh my God, this is going to be the most important point. I will tell you what's like really worth, like if that's the only thing you get out of this class, I'll tell you when, take this. Don't forget this. I used to have a teacher in acupuncture school. I tell you, you never forget. I never forgot, but only the accent I didn't forget. So sorry. The substance was kind of irrelevant, quite honestly. So, shut up. All right, next finding, just below. Now this is the only place where my points are exact. Everything else, stomach channel, you can take, 2 tsun out, 2.5 tsun out, 1.5 tsun out, I don't care. It's not a big deal, channels move. This one, we call 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, because it's just below kidney 16, meaning if this is 12 o'clock in the navel, this is 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, this is just below 3 and 9, so it's like a clock. 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. That's a phrase you'll hear. 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Okay? We call that adrenal reflex. Okay? The treatment for that, the original adrenal treatment was kidney 6 plus kidney 27. That was the original. Kidney 27 never changes. Okay? I've heard someone that will remain nameless say you can use any kidney point 25, 26, 27. No. Sorry, Avi's dogma is 27 only. There's a reason for that. You will hear it in a moment. The kidney 6 can change. This is the original treatment. It's kidney 6 plus 27. So now this is an important situation. This you want to remember. Adrenal treatment. So first of all, so some things that come with adrenal is, for example, they may have a valley back on the back. Meaning the spine sinks when they're lying down. You see the paraspinals are really tight, and the spine is like in a valley. Okay, so we call that valley back. Okay. Originally, this is a treatment for shock, like you went through a shocking experience. Okay, but often people go through shock very slowly. Okay, they didn't just like, okay, one night all your hair went gray. Yes, some people like that. Okay, but some people are like, well, you all know adrenal shock from having gone to acupuncture school. Slowly, slowly, they say your jin got depleted. It would be maybe the Chinese term for it, something similar to that. We say it's depleting the adrenals. Okay, so it can be slow or it can be fast. Okay, so what happens? Think about it when it happens fast. Think when whatever shock means for you, chances are it's going to go into the navel. Now, look at the kidney channel. And I know you've all gone through this problem when you were in school. You just don't remember it because when I ask people, I see that they look at me like, what are you talking about? The kidney channel's description is, it starts at the small toe, it goes to the ankle, circles the ankle, comes up in the inner thigh, goes into the perineum, up the spine into L2. Okay? Then, it goes down to penetrates the kidney and the bladder, and then goes up and circulates the throat. That's the description of the kidney channel. And I know you all have been through that. It's a question, what the fuck? From the perineum, I want kidney 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is what we want because this is what it shows. And it's not like that. Read the channel. It goes up to L2 and comes down, which means it goes from kidney 16 down to 11. We numbered them wrong. And then from 16, another branch goes up, which means that 16 has a place where the channel goes both up and down. What happens in fear and shock? It falls. The channel separates. The channel is no longer integrated because kidney is affected by fear. That's why it shows just below kidney 16, my opinion, granted. Okay? So we're all entitled to our own opinions. So that's why below kidney 16. Now, why do I say kidney 27? So it can only be to kidney 27 because when you're looking at point names, first of all, the character shu, to transport, appears, yes, you have one shoulder shu, I think it's small intestine, something, something, I don't know what it is, but you know. But then all the other shoes are either on the bladder, like the organ shoes, right? Lung shu, yak shu, you know, whatever organ shu. Then you have two shu points. One of them is called huang shu, which is kidney 16, and the other one is called shu fu, the shu of the fu organs. Okay? Very interesting. No other shu point except the shoulder shu. Okay? So, in my opinion, because of the shu that's common, it really is kidney 27. Nagano said that when you tonify the adrenals or the gonads, a little bit similar, you need to reduce the parathyroid. How do you know that? Look at women in menopause, and the adrenals and the gonads go down, and what happens? The parathyroid starts to act up, and it leaches out the calcium from the bones, right? So you need to reduce the parathyroid. Nagano said that this is parathyroid. So you're reducing parathyroid and tonifying the gonads. So you can't just do the one below. You can't just tonify the kidney. You need to calm down the parathyroid at the same time in order to allow the adrenals to get boosted. Okay? So now, looking at these 2-point names, also I keep losing these things. The Wang is on top, in Huang, the Wang is on top.
Wang is on top, and then the Yue on the bottom. Yeah.
Okay, this is Huang. Okay, like Da Huang Shu, right? Okay. They say Huang is the area between the heart and the pericardium, something like that. I don't know where they got that from. I'm sorry. If you look at the character, this means to bury someone. They're missing, they're gone, you know, something like that. Buried, missing, dead, something like that's Wang. If you put the body in it, the character for the body, it becomes Huang. This means something in the body that's died, that's gone, that's missing. Okay? Who is that? Who do you have inside your body that's missing? See, this is the whole trick in this class, is that I want you to start thinking. You have someone inside of you, something in the body that's dead. What is it? It's either missing or it's dead.
Your presence.
Your presence. I hope it's still there. Personally, your spirit should still be there, otherwise you're dead. Your parents, your grandparents, your ancestors are not there. So do you see why suddenly this becomes, all the Huang points become genetic points for genetic diseases? This is the shu point, in this case it's the Wang shu. Huang means something in the body that isn't really there, that's dead already. Most of your ancestors are dead. 99.999% of them are dead. Only your parents and grandparents might still be alive. So your genetic code is missing. It's in your body, but it's missing at the same time. Now, in the case of Wang Shu, kidney 16, it's actually the place where you are in contact, right, umbilical cord, with your ancestors. That's the direct contact that you had. You can see that the Chinese had interesting ways of looking at things. It's not always so clear, and you know, like you can't do that on every point. But sometimes you go, oh, that's kind of cute. Okay, so you get some ideas from these things.
You can call it essence too. Kidney, the essence of you as your
Sure.
essence.
Yeah. And Manaka, for example, says kidney 16, not 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And Manaka says that's the moo point for the kidneys. Okay, so yeah, do me a favor, don't over-translate to Chinese, because it will totally get into the wrong mix in this. So, all right, now you can, instead of using kidney 6, you can use other kidney points below. Okay, so for example, if you have kidney 2 pain, now this is one of the things you really want to remember. If you have a fire point pain on any channel, pericardium 8 is a fire point. Use metal and water, actually it's water and metal in this case, but metal and water to overcome fire. It's one of the big concepts that we use. So when we're confused, when we don't know what to do, check fire points. You know, fire point is painful, use metal water. of that channel on the same side. doesn't flip around, okay? So why? Because we're always, as much as possible, with the exception, in some cases, we generally tonify. We're not looking to reduce. So if there's fire, water overcomes fire, so we want to tonify the water, and metal is the mother of the water. So metal, water, to reinforce the water to overcome the fire. Okay? And you'll see that concept in autoimmune disorders very strongly, except we're doing it systematically. Okay, when we use Ren-4 in kidney and lung. Kidney and lung are metal, water. Okay, so that's the treatment for autoimmune. Okay, so if you have kidney 2 pain, you will probably do kidney 7 and 10 plus 27. Now, there's a big argument, well, I don't know if it's a big argument, but there's different opinions about whether you can do adrenal one side or not. Okay? In my personal opinion, adrenal is both sides. Okay? Now, you can decide on adrenal even if they don't have 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Okay? This is an Aviism. I can decide that adrenal is what they have, even though they don't show it in the abdomen. And now, if adrenal knocks off everything else in the abdomen and treats the symptom, well, in my opinion, I was right. Of course, it's just my opinion, but that's, what the patient says. Yeah.
4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, if you find no pain, but tension or nodulation.
Same thing. Nodulation's a little different. That's usually spleen type.
Yeah. So if it's tense, even if it's not sore,
if it's tense, it doesn't, sore is relative. So what I do is I start left side spleen 13, maybe, and press. Most people, unless they have a problem in the colon, okay, ulcerative colitis, IBS or something, most people will say, this is normal. So you're outside the rectus abdominis, you're not in the muscle, you're pressing. And this is what normal feels like. Now you move elsewhere, and now you ask the is it the same as left side spleen line? So they have just because they don't say pain, it doesn't have to be pain, just needs to be discomfort, unusual.
But even if they're feeling nothing, if I'm feeling some tension there.
You can decide, yes, you can do it on your own. The thing is, if you use only your feedback, not theirs, you're missing one of the biggest options of the placebo effect.
Right. Well, it's just that some people just, no matter what you say to them.
Absolutely, yes.
If it's not blazing pain, they're not going to translate it into.
And you're working in San Diego, imagine what it looks like for me in New England. Yeah, some people don't say anything, it doesn't matter what it's like, and they're going, no, nothing. Kidding? That's how some people are.
Why do you think that some people who have chronic kidney adrenal failure show nothing at 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock?
Because it's not, the body is
just
not a
because everything's
mathematical
just
model.
collapsed so much?
Well, no, I don't know. I honestly don't know. So here, try and accept this premise. These are maps. The ancients have left us certain roadmaps, and we're deciphering them, and we're making all sorts of assumptions on it, and we're going to put a lot of dogmas on it. Not everybody with the same disease is going to show exactly like this. They may show something else, they may not show at all. In other words, there's something in the fascia here that seems to correlate to this problem. In this person, the circuitry is different. Or, in this person, the brain connection to that place isn't well established. So they're not going to be able to say, no, it's not comfortable. We don't know. This is just commonly, it is like that. That's why I'm saying, I'm not relying on 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock only to decide adrenal. I'm also relying on medical history. Now, I want to test my assumption. I'll check it. So this is where the throat is a place that most people will give you something on. They may not give you on the abdomen, but they'll give you something in the throat. So you're sometimes better off diagnosing the throat. You can do the Yamamoto thing. Do whatever you can, it doesn't matter. But don't assume that this is the only way to determine adrenal. That's my whole point. You want to find the root, don't do it just by the abdomen and do the protocols. The other thing is, check the whole abdomen before you treat. Do not start treating until you check the whole abdomen. The fact that then you go, oh shit, I didn't check this, fine. So you check more. But don't start, okay, I found adrenal, let me start with adrenal. You need to find out everything so that you know how effective is your adrenal. Is it knocking down REN17? Is it knocking down REN15? Is it doing something for the liver? What is it doing? Okay, don't do one by one. Okay? But 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or any of these reflexes, these are just ideas. They're not absolutes. Once you take them as absolutes, you're kind of stuck with only one dogma to work with. Fair enough? Okay. Right side stomach 26, 27, just so that we have a little bit of a map. Right side 26, 27 can be 4 different things, okay, by the dogmas. Number 1, it can be lung reflex. Number 2, it can be immune reflex. Number 3, it can be digestion reflex. And number 4, it can be pelvic shift. If it is lung 8, by the way, lung 7, lung 8 for me are the same point. If you ever hear me say lung 7, I mean, I really mean lung 8. I do not have a point outside the line. Okay, it's only in line.
How, is that just what, so now?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Not exact. Don't worry about it. Needle down towards the thumb. That would be considered a lung. Maybe it's immune. Immune point will do a good job. I'll go through immune point in 1 second. Digestion could be maybe, well, actually stomach 41 does not prove that it's digestion because it could still be pelvic shift because stomach 41 is on the hinge of the ankle. So it could be fixing your gait also, okay? But maybe spleen 9, especially if they have it, well, if it's appendix related, certainly spleen 9 will do the job. And if it's pelvic shift, generally you don't fix it from the front, and you can't really test it, but what you can do is press on the sacroiliac, so they're face up and I press on the sacroiliac and then they'll say, oh, stomach 26, 27 is better. Okay, so 4 things it can be. So now let's go through immune point. This is one of the earlier concepts in this style is many people, because it's very conforming to Chinese understanding, attack by wind. Okay, so the glans area, Sanjiao 16 area behind the SCM, they'll have some pain. Originally Nagano called it tonsillitis point, people who've had their tonsils removed. Okay, and we use the point, you can say it's between large intestine 11 and 10. It's more commonly closer to large intestine 11, and it is not on the large intestine channel, it's on the edge of the bone. So sometimes you might see someone calling it triple intestinal. Okay, it's between the triple warmer and the large intestine channel. Okay, so, but it's on the edge of the bone, and this edge of the bone has something to do with immune issues. You see that on top of the iliac crest, for example, you see people when they're sick, when they have the flu for a while, they may have pain here. The edges of the bone seem to relate to immunity. It's very typical, someone, that says I have back pain like this, across the back, the immune point will do a good job for them. Okay? So this is an interesting area where you can I actually have someone on the table for a moment so I can demonstrate?
Helpful this.
Take your hair away, is that okay? All right, so I'll do it on this side. Okay. Do you want to fix that? Sure. Okay. Then I know you're both. Anything here?
Yeah.
Oh. What can I say? Right. Some people, if you talk about a subject, they have it. So, behind the SCM, 1, 2, 3. Anything?
2 and 3 a little bit.
2 and 3. Okay. So 2. Now, this is an interesting point because I'll keep my hand there. I don't take my hand away, but I'm not pressing here, right? Okay. And then I look for the immune point. Okay, I look for a place where I'm going to feel something change in Sanjiao 16. You can't do that anywhere else in the body. Everywhere else in the body, you have to press again. Now, I felt something kind of dissolve. It's kind of above my finger, not below my finger, but it would be below my finger if I was here. And so I'm choosing my immune point according to that because I can feel feedback just by touching. I feel something else happening on my right hand. Now, how is this now?
Less,
How much less?
like 50%.
50% I don't like. Here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So now you're behind SCA.
I'm behind it, yeah.
This is
How's now?
different than your
Hold on one second. How's now?
Yeah, more.
More what?
Like
More or less?
80%.
More or less. How's this guy?
Better, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you the connections on that, okay? Can we expose abdomen?
Mhm.
Okay. Alright. So, we don't know anything about it, this is not a method of treating, okay? Just so that there's a clarity around this, okay? So I start, that you can come up if you want. Okay. The small enough place, it's not an issue. Just allow Philip some space, that's all. All right, so left side spleen line. Hi, anything here? No, okay. So this is what my hands feel like. She's never felt my hands before. How do you, probably never felt anybody's hands feeling this before, okay? And see, I'm fairly deep in here. This is not like, hi, you know, this is like, okay? But, so, nothing here. Now, look at my body, don't look at my fingers, okay? This versus, ow,
Yeah.
don't do this. You need to move in, otherwise, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It isn't different in my hand. It's, my hand stays, and I just move into it.
Yeah.
Do
Very
not
different.
don't move from your wrist, okay? Because everything will be painful, plus, everything will be painful and there will be no patient next time. Nobody wants to come to you and like, you know, it's not, okay. So, okay, so,
Nothing.
but this,
Ooh.
and I wasn't
I'm
doing
just
this.
starting to get my period, I don't know.
Oh, that's what you asked about. Okay. Hi, 4 o'clock,
No, it's fine.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so first we're right-sided. So now here's a typical situation. Do I determine that this is adrenal or do I think it's something else? I don't know yet. It could be that it's adrenal more on the right side and left side is not showing, and maybe in 10 years it will show. How do I know? Kawai had this great phrase: "You take insurance." You find one side, no, like, you know, he would say, just like the stroke people, you had stroke this side, you better treat this side before they get a stroke on that side also. Because they're showing the weakness. So I don't know if it's adrenal yet, I don't know what it is.
Could it sometimes be a projection of the stomach, the right stomach, 26/7?
No. Oketsu goes like this, but stomach 26, 27 does not do this, wormy thing coming towards the center, no. Now, how about Ren 9?
No pain.
Okay. 12,
No pain.
15.
No pain.
Okay. She has right side, I need to check the liver. Liver 14, left and right.
No.
Under the ribs, left and yes, something.
Teeny
like
bit
that,
on the
teeny
right,
bit.
yeah.
Okay. So if it's a teeny bit, probably liver deficiency. Okay. The thing is, anybody with right side issues, immediately I'm thinking possibly liver. Okay? So,
Avi, what do you mean by liver deficiency, just so?
I don't know. It's just a name. It doesn't mean anything like the TCM stuff. You know, we have liver, we have excess, and we have deficient. Okay, as opposed to or we don't talk about excess spleen. With liver, because some people go sharp pain. This is what. Okay, I'll tell you exactly what. If you show under the ribs or on liver 14, and it shows us sharp pain on either one of them, chances are we'll call excess. Okay? If it shows dull, or when you pinch, look at my fingers. Look at how much I'm pinching. And not a huge difference actually, but there is something. I'm feeling my finger slide. Do you feel different? Do you feel left side, right side? Does it feel different?
A little bit.
A little bit.
It's
That's
hard to
deficient.
hard to
Usually,
determine.
if it's clear when you're pinching, you'll pinch like this. You can't bring. It's not gonna. You're gonna. More skins will come up. It's not obvious on her. Okay. So, a little bit here, right? Let's, either way, I need to make sure pulse is not slow for this. It's barely a pulse.
I know, I've,
It's not slow. It's not rapid, but it's not slow. Okay. So, liver 1, how is now here?
just the same.
Same. Okay. So, chances are, unless I can move my liver 1 a little bit and see if I get it better.
Better.
Better. Okay, fine. So, that's fair. Hi. How's 27?
Still
You don't
feel-
like it. Okay.
Don't
so-
like it.
Don't like it. Okay. And how is the quote-unquote adrenal?
Fine.
Okay, so question for you. Okay, so we're getting something out of liver 1, but it doesn't, from the little that we know, and we're missing a lot here. We have no idea why she's here, except the fact I asked for a volunteer. Okay, so, but this, okay, wait. Compare with this. Now.
Same.
Same, okay. So the liver strategy is not, has not proven to be fabulous for her. However, this has.
Better.
How much better? How much is left?
Hard to say, sorry. Probably 60% better.
Okay, so, excuse me, what's your blood pressure?
Usually it's low, like
Yes, of course.
90
People who
over.
make my blood pressure rise, this is one of those things that you can decide if it works for you, but I'm telling you, in my opinion, it's one of those this one. When the patient can't answer, there's a good chance that they have an autonomic nervous system. They can't relate too well. The brain and the body don't work together. The first thing I try is under the third toe, which is our major blood pressure, low or high. Low blood pressure is a problem, not just high. Weird blood pressure, weird numbers, you know, the discrepancy, can you give me numbers?
Actually, it's been like 110 over 70 or so.
Oh, no, that's totally normal. Okay, but anyway, we'll just try it anyway.
Oh.
High,
Better.
by how much?
Like 80%.
Okay. This is the one that you can tell from the demeanor, it's like it's clear.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. It's interesting.
When you address the nervous system, they just become clearer. Because some people, how much? 10%. Oh, I do, maybe 20, maybe this, maybe this, maybe. It's like, fuck. You know, it's like, no, because you can go like this for 10 minutes. You can do this back and forth and you try everything. And you just ran out of ideas. This is the kind of person like, start treating the nervous system because it's not because they're pissing me off. It's not, believe me, lots of other people piss me off, nothing to do with the nervous system. It's because they can't relate, and because by personality, people who can't relate, it's the barometer is that it's not that they piss me off, it's that they can't relate. How do I know they can't relate? They're pissing me off. Okay? No, because, you know, you just need to understand, because I'm a person that does not have a lot of patience for this kind of stuff. Some people say, yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's me. So that's why under third toe for her. Now it could be other things.
What is its relationship to the nervous system?
Under the third toe? Okay. So you can make up a lot of stories about this, but it's our main point for blood pressure. Now in blood pressure is, you know, you have systolic and diastolic blood pressures. To me, the diastolic relates to a large extent to your parasympathetic, because it's when there's a relaxation
Yeah.
you know, and the systolic represents the sympathetic. So when either the blood pressure goes too high or it's generally low, it means the nervous system does not adjust well. Or if you have weird numbers, so I'll give you numbers that sound perfect. I have 120 over 65. It's not high, it's not low. Neither number is too high or too low. But together, this differential is way more than 40. It's too big a differential. Or I have 100 over 80. 105 over 80, okay. So it sounds better. Because 100 is already borderline low. The combination of the two numbers is not good. Okay? So what I'm saying is that the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems don't adjust to each other very well. This is our main point, especially with blood pressure for nervous system disorders. We're going to call this sympathetic dominant point. It's better for rapid pulse, generally. Now, I was not going to go into the subject so fast, but that's fine. So, when you have a pulse that you might call, this is originally what Nagano said, as I understand it, when the pulse is, he called tight pulse. A tight pulse means thin, wiry, what you might call wiry, but wiry is an excess pulse. Okay? So what you call wiry is really not wiry. It's what we call wiry in the Western world, but if you look at classically, wiry is supposed to be an excess pulse. It can't be a deficient pulse. It doesn't make sense. So, because then it should be different. You know. So, but it feels but it's thin, and when you press on it, it either disappears altogether or it changes quality. It becomes like wider, slippery-ish, or something like that. Okay, that Nagano called autonomic nervous system pulse. Okay, this is the main point for that kind of pulse, especially if the pulse is rapid. It's not as good for slow pulses.
Is it safe to use that for those slow pulses?
You can if you're very clear that the pulse is clearly tight pulse. If you can say it's a tight pulse, use. The other thing, autonomic nervous system, always check the SCM and release it. So, those of you who know me, you know, Star Trek, Next Generation, Jean-Luc Picard, okay? The Cardassians, they are the Nazis of the 24th century. They have huge SCMs. The guy who did this is, well, I happen to have met him, so that's why I tell the story all the time. He was brilliant, you know, he wanted to show someone angry. What did he do? He put 2 pipes here, and you're already angry because that's what angry people look like. Their SCMs are all congested, so they have no parasympathetic feedback because the vagus nerve comes down through the SCM, and if the vagus nerve is a parasympathetic nerve. Okay? So if you don't have parasympathetic nerve, what are you left with? Sympathetic only. So you can't digest, you know, all the organs are getting feedback from the vagus nerve. And at C3, what you're getting is you're getting the phrenic nerve, which controls the diaphragm. So again, a very important thing for autonomic nervous system disorders. Okay, what do you tell people when they're all breathe? Activate your diaphragm. It's very important. Okay, so these are. I'll go over the subject of autonomic nervous system disorder kind of more clearly because it's, you know, it's a little fast right now. But when a patient can't respond, there's a good chance that you either need to release their neck. So let's check her neck. Relax, relax. 1, 2, 3. Anything?
2 and 3.
Okay. So I'm not pressing like this. It's all 3 fingers flat. 1, 2, 3. 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
3.
Is there a thyroid history in your mother's family? Just checking. Okay. So, okay, 3. How is now?
Better.
How much?
Like gone.
Okay, she didn't have a problem because I happen to be working on the nervous system. To release the SCM, now this is a star. This is actually probably the most important thing you'll ever learn, in my opinion, is to do this. If you have an SCM tightness, it means you have a nervous system that's not going to respond. Opposite side, we call triple warmer 8. As you can see, it's way above triple warmer 8, but sometimes Kiiko calls it above 9. It's 1/3 of the way from the elbow down on the triple warmer channel. Releases opposite side SCM. Okay? If they have a rapid pulse, triple warmer 5 is probably better. If you want to look cute, you may add gallbladder 40 to Sanjiao 8, or you can add gallbladder 41 to triple warmer 5. Not important in my opinion. Okay? There was a period, late 90s, when that was, well actually no, before late 90s, 94 probably, and this lasted. This is one of the things that you see again, and you know, it has not disappeared. Like I told you, Oketsu, for example, not so. This is there. And at one point, Kiiko talked about the fact that, you know, Kiiko studied with Nagano, but she wasn't there in this clinic regularly. She would go once a year, you know, kind of thing for a little while, you know, to be, I mean, there are people who live there, you know, they could afford to be, you know, so, for example, when you guys went to, you know, that first, you know, and he loves stomach chi, he's in love with stomach G. There's a lot of people here who can't, they just don't resonate with stomach G. So what do it's kind of, so one of the Kiiko was saying that, when he was with Nagano, he was with him the last 2 years of his life. That was what Nagano did. There was a long period where triple warmer 8 was God. Okay, so every practitioner has different periods in his life. This for me right now is the most important thing in the world.
Wow, that's good ones.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. What's that about?
Not necessarily. It's just meant to be effective. Now that's the other thing. A treatment point that's painful is not necessarily a good treatment point. Don't assume that. I know there's a lot of this asha business. A treatment point that's painful, and if it's too painful, you can't needle it to begin with. You were looking for the treatment point that's effective in releasing. Fair enough? Okay, don't go for, and especially, by the way, in immune points, patient, this is the one, but does it release Sanjar 16? And after that, does it release the rest of the body? Okay, so, okay, I think we have enough common language at this point. I'd like to do something else. So she talked about these are big points. Okay, so stand up, everyone. Before there's yin and yang, before there's yin and yang. Before there's 5 elements, what is there? Well, I gave you the answer. Okay, that's fair enough. So, no, but it's very important because we're so obsessed with yin and yang. We're so obsessed with 5 elements. We want everything to fall into spleen, liver, kidney, heart, lung, right? This is the most important thing for us. Well, I have news for you. First of all, what is it called? 5 elements. It's called what? Wu Xing. Okay? Meaning walking. I have something missing.
This one. Another one. Yeah.
Thank you. My Chinese sucks. 5 walkings of formations, okay? So first of all, so it's obvious that it keeps moving, so they're not elements, but that's a different argument actually to talk to the Wolseley people. But it's called yin-yang wuxing, okay? 5 movements of the yin-yang, okay? So, in order to have 5 elements, I have to have yin-yang activated in my body, or else I'm like nothing. Okay? So, if you stand up, and what I'm going to ask you to do is, this is your heel, and this is your ankle bone. Okay? So, in between is called kidney 6. Okay? I want you to send the heel down to the floor. Keep your spleen lying on the floor. Your tendency is going to want to do this to roll over to the bladder channel. So just know that and keep the big toe on the floor. Send the heel down. You need to do this. Don't worry about looking at it. Send the heel down and lift the ankle bone away from it. And see what you feel. You should feel something between your thighs, hopefully. If you don't, let me know. Push the heel to the floor, lift the ankle bone, suck it up. The ankle bone up. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. You leaning back. Come over here. Take your shoes off.
But
Everybody else felt it?
your spleen 3 stays on the ground too.
Spleen 3 must stay on the ground. Okay. Send this down. Push this down. Down and lift this up. Yeah, but no. Yes, lift it up. Lift it, no, leave this on the floor. Lift it up, send this down, lift it up. Do you feel this? Relax your face. Spread your toes. I told you he's weird. He lands on the moon crescent. Push this down. Now, relax the foot, relax down 41. Relax this. Lift this up with your mind. Yes. Do you feel this?
I think starting to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now there's a straw between your legs. Don't bend your knees. There's a straw between your legs. Suck it up into your perineum, up the front of your spine. So from here, lifting the ankle, there's a straw. Suck it up. No, I just did this to show you. In front of the spine, as far up as it might go. It will never go above red 22. It's not possible. Okay, what do you feel?
Heat.
Okay. This is the part I'm interested in. The straw starts between your thighs, comes up to perineum to support you've created the kidney channel, basically. Does that make sense? Does everybody feel something somewhere? Everybody's body capacity is going to be different as to what you can feel. But did everybody feel something somewhere in the body by sending the heel down, lifting the ankle up, and activating this mechanism? Anybody who didn't, you need to tell me. Relax, relax. Don't try so hard. Tensing here.
I
So
feel
much.
musculature.
Okay, well, the musculature is part of your body. It's okay. It doesn't have to be woo-woo. It's in the body. It really is in the body. It's okay. You're having problems, Lisa. You're enjoying it so much. Fair enough. Okay, so what you've done is you've discovered what the role of kidney 6 now. Okay, so let me see if I can do this, because this is going to be, it's one of those characters that I really dislike. I don't have my notes, I can do my notes with me. So first of all, there's an expression in the Heart Sutra, okay, nothing to do with Chinese medicine, that the Bodhisattva, the Guan Yin, okay, Guan Yin is the Bodhisattva of compassion, but in Chinese medicine, she's the goddess of medicine in China, right? So she sits and she contemplates her own body. And the phrase is, the Bodhisattva, while moving in the deep course of perfect understanding, shed light on the 5 skandhas and found them equally empty. Okay, that's the phrase. After this penetration, she overcame ill being. It's in the notes, by the way. Okay. So, ill being is defined. The phrase is ku. Ku is a grass that's been around 10 times. Okay, this is ku. Okay, I'm not writing very beautifully in either language. Okay, is it's really a cliff, or you can say it's like disease. And this thing here, it's like a person who's bent over. Okay, so is distress. This ku is like ku shen, something like bitter, the bitter herb. Okay, that's what ku means. So bitterness and distress is ill-being, disease. It's one way to define disease. I'm not saying it's the only way. Okay, so something that's withering. It's withering. It's a grass that's been around for a while. Okay, it's going to be bitter. It's not going to have liveliness to it. It's not going to have greenness to it. And it's distress. It's falling down. Okay. This is disease. How does she overcome it? She sheds light. The character Zhao, okay? Zhao Jian. Zhao, we have one Zhao in the body, kidney 6. Okay? And, okay, so now I can go and do all this intellectual masturbation, on a language that I don't even speak, okay? And what's the point? Well, the point is, can I prove it in my body to myself? And the answer is, yes, I can. If I activate kidney 6, if I separate kidney 6, push the heel down, lift the ankle bone away, suddenly I'm lengthening in my own body. I'm counteracting ku. Okay, now, this is the character that I hate. What? It's so beautiful. Yeah, Chinese is a very interesting language, isn't it? So some of us are lucky and actually speak it. So, now, there is a phrase in Ling Shu that kind of defines health. We looked at what's disease and how to counter it. So, in the description on the 4 oceans, You know, there's the ocean of chi and blood, there's the ocean of the grains, and there's the ocean of something else, and there's the ocean of marrow, okay? In the ocean of marrow, each one of them, if there's too little, it's not good. If there's too much, it's not good. Or the ocean of blood. Okay? And it gives points for them, you know, for these oceans, how to affect them. In the ocean of marrow, if there's too little, it's not good, but if there's lots of it, it's fine, it's a good thing. And what it says is, if you have lots of marrow, you will have Qing, Jing, Duo, Li, meaning Qing is easefulness. It's like a cart that drives in the river nicely. Okay, Jing is sturdiness. Okay, Duo is lots of strength, like a knife. Lots of strength. So you will have easefulness, sturdiness, and lots of strength. Qing means, like for example, you say Qing An, you know, easefulness. It's a characteristic in meditation. The opposite. So now I'm looking for the opposite. You know, in other words, how do I define disease? And so I know how to counteract it. Because it's very easy to say, oh, you should be easeful. Like, oh yeah, how? Okay, I mean, your role as an acupuncturist is to try and find a way to induce that in them. Okay? So the opposite of Qing, you can say, in regular language, you say bu'an, meaning no peace. Okay? But the technical term for restlessness, which will be the technical term in English, is jiao ju. And this ju, I need your help, actually, better you do it. The bottom, Ju.
Oh, 钓局. Oh, do you want to
Just
write
the
it?
Ju.
Okay.
Jiao means falling in love.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, thank you. Jiao means to lose, to drop. And Ju, which he's going to write, okay, because it's got too many... He has to do what I'm doing. Okay, this is a hand, and this is like two hands coming and lifting. This means to lift. Okay, so to be restless means to lose, jiao, ju, the lift, or the extension. These two things, it has two of them, okay, fine. This is actually the same character that you see in Shen, which is this thing. Okay. Now, I know you think this looks like the center with an extra line. It's not. This means to extend. This means it really comes from this. Come together and push it up to extend. This is the character. This Shen exists in the character Shen Mai, UB62. Okay? Now, I don't have enough experience with UB62 to tell you that UB62 will extend you. I can tell you that kidney 6 will, because you know they're right there. They're good friends. Kidney 6 and UB62, right? But this Ju should be related to, in my opinion, to UB62 if I can figure it out. Okay? Because by character, it has the same character. It's just. It got separated. This thing got separated here. But what it says, what it shows you an incredibly important principle for me. If you want to extend, you want to create the interaction between yin and yang, you want to create the space of the body, you've got to squeeze it from the sides. Okay? So, therefore, when you activated kidney 6, when you feel kidney 6 in the lift between the legs, you're going to come to a place we call inner yin, which is like liver 9 but on the kidney channel. Okay, super important point for us, okay? Or rather for me, not so much for Kiiko, quite honestly. And then you're going to start feeling just the area behind your pubic bone, that there is a lift. In order to then reinforce that lift, if I can come from the side and squeeze it up, or you can say it's the Shao Yang does that, if you like that kind of understanding. Is going to be very important to create the space before you even diagnose someone in terms of their organs. Before there's 5 elements, you have to look at their interaction of yin yang, which means you have to look, are they sinking down? And most people will. So that, by the way, explains to you why we emphasize so much certain points. For example, in the back we emphasize T11, T12, and T5 a lot. Why? Because this is where you're going to sink. People are going to sink down this way into T11, T12 is where they're going to sink because there are no bones below the ribs, there's no bone to hold them between their hips and the ribs. So they're going to sink there. So there's going to be a down there, and there's going to be a down at the other height of the kyphotic curve, which is T5, or thereabouts. Okay, they don't have to count the vertebrae. Okay, so that's why it's really important to lift these up for people. Okay, so when we needle T11, T12, I always needle upwards. Okay, so other latos I don't mind doing just towards the spine, but T11, T12 must be upwards. Okay, in order to give people that lift, to give space for the organs, then you can look at, okay, and you have adrenal, and you have liver, and you have this, and you have this. But this creating the space is extremely, extremely important.
Do you do that seated or?
Lying down, lying down. Yeah.
So how does this compare to a root treatment?
This could be the root treatment for a certain amount of time, because if the person basically has the root treatment is suck it up, damn it. Okay, that is the root treatment, because afterwards you may, by the way, root treatment doesn't mean it's always going to be the root treatment. It can change later on. But for right now, this is the root treatment because there's no space to do anything else. So that's why that treatment I do lots, kidney 6, inner yin. We call, okay, so you take Ren 4, go all the way to the side. We call mu shu, between the mu and the shu. Kiiko sometimes call it dantian slice. You can say it's gallbladder 27 because by name, I know gallbladder 27 is supposed to be here, but if you take gallbladder line and just make it totally to the side, like it sometimes has been in the past, gallbladder, no, it changes. Points change all the time. Gallbladder 27 will end up here. It's below the bone. Okay, gallbladder 26 is above the bone. Below the bone, you'll find gummy stuff, will be gallbladder 27, whose name is called Wu Shu, the 5 pivots. Okay? The name of gallbladder 28 is Wei Dao. I think so. I got confused, but I believe it is Wei Dao, meaning linking the path. So these 2 points that we put on the inguinal ligament nowadays to link the path and support the pivots. The inguinal ligament does support the body, but you can also say those 2 ideas can exist totally to the side, doing the same thing. And quite honestly, I don't know how often you've needled, gallbladder 27 or gallbladder 28 and how effective it is. In my opinion, this is a lot more effective in anything.
In terms of prioritization, okay, so let's say you also have soreness of kidney 2. You can still bypass that if you decide to and go to kidney 6.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. You can bypass anything if you decide to. In other words, the power of your mind is going to be stronger in all likelihood than anything than any dogma. But that's a different story. So no, the thing is, remember, it starts from kidney 2, but it doesn't mean kidney 7 doesn't get activated. Kidney 7 is also a place where the gastrocnemius muscle is going to fall into. Okay, so what I'm trying to, okay, let me try that in a second. But as long as you're on the kidney channel, you're probably okay. Your origin may have to be kidney 6, but actually your origin may be spleen 3. Because you've got to activate the spleen part of the channel. So let's look at this whole thing again, of this activation. So stand up again. You may want to take your shoes off. It's just easier to feel. So the first thing, feet are extremely important. Okay, so one of the first things you'll see me do, I always check people's feet. How flexible are they when I move them? Are they tight? Are they cold? What's going on with the feet? I have an obsession with feet. Okay, so when you're standing, you have to understand that you're standing on this arch between spleen 3 and UB65. Okay, and then you're also standing on your heel. So you have a tripod between spleen 3, UB65, and the center of the heel, ideally. We're all a little bit different. Now, spread the tarsals and then send the heel down and make sure it spreads the tarsals out. Don't lean back. I think the problem is in you moving too far towards your heel, so it's harder for you to feel anything.
Okay, so for you, stay forward a little bit, even though you're sending the heel. Now, when you send the heel down and lift the ankle bone, and don't do anything dramatic in the body. Brian, don't do anything dramatic in the body. Okay. Use your legs. Start using your legs. People don't like to use their legs. Feel the inside of the thigh, and then feel your perineum lifting like a straw. Okay? Now, as you do that, come back to the feet and feel what you needed to do in the feet. Just give yourself a review. Okay? And now come into your calves and see where in the calves you're feeling the most. Where in the thighs do you feel the most? Where in the abdomen or in the spine you feel the most? Okay? And let go. All right. So chances are, okay, you can let go. Chances are what you need to do is you needed to feel that area between somewhere between spleen 3 and UB65 you probably felt something, in all likelihood. Chances are you felt something in the heel and kidney 7, in kidney 6. However, as you move it back up, the base of the gastrocnemius, which means kidney 9 area, liver 5, spleen 7 area, is also activated, and for some people will be the kidney 7. A lot of people, if you touch their kidney 7, it's all flappy and droppy. Some people will be too tight, there'll be a rope. But it's very common that kidney 7 is just dropping down. So yes, you can lift from kidney 7. You don't have to lift from kidney 6. And like I said, I believe you can lift from UB60 to 2, which will correspond for coming from the side. You use what you can. So I have my own, my favorite protocol sort of thing, but it doesn't mean it's the only one you need to use.
Maybe you could have spleen 3 or
you
UB60.
could, yeah, although you could, well, okay, so.
I mean, for me, when I was doing it, it was hard to keep the spleen 3 area as down.
Yes, because most of us, as soon as you lift your ankle bone, you want to roll over to the bladder channel, which is really why one of the reasons why it's UB62. You're just going to activate it more. You kind of want. That's why I think kidney 6 is a better point, possibly. So all I'm trying to do is try and find these ideas of the channels and find them in a body as well, and find like physiological reasons. You know how they say, oh, the reason this works is because it's the yak point of the blah channel. Like, well, yeah, so. I mean, it's just ideas that somebody imposed. So I'm trying to find it in my own body. That's the trick for me. So, okay. Yes?
Sorry, I'm a little lost. So I understand you're describing the kidney channel here with this position. How do we get to this? Like, is this an abdominal palpation that I'm feeling to go in?
No, nothing to do. No.
Sorry. 7,
it's a way for you to, okay. It's a way for you to get a feel of that there needs to be a certain space in the body. Mm-hmm. Then when you're palpating the abdomen and you go, I wonder if this person doesn't have any space in their body. Can I fix all their abdomen stuff by giving them space?
By giving them space, you mean
Remember
kidney
space and light.
6 or kidney 7?
I might do kidney 6, inner yin, mushu, and something up in here, like maybe stomach 9, maybe below, maybe UB2.
I'm trying to get the...
Okay, so one of the things I would call it coordinating the 3 dantians. You have a lower dantian, a middle dantian, and an upper dantian. That's different than the 3 jiaos. Okay, so you need to open the 3 diaphragms: the perineal diaphragm, the diaphragm, and the vocal cord diaphragm. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that there is something in the body, and if you've done something like yoga and pranayama, there's a certain, this will resonate for you. If you haven't, it won't, because it's a different language. But these diaphragms, this ability of these diaphragms to lift gives the definition of the space of the body. Without the space of the body, palpating the abdomen, the actual, all the other palpations kind of, or anything else you conclude without having space is going to be semi-meaningless. So providing that space, which I can do through, say, kidney 6, through inner yin, through mushu, through either stomach 9 or UB2, or I use sometimes below the teeth. Okay, that provides a space, and then see what else is left in the abdomen. For some people. For a fair amount, though, so it's worth it. Okay, so it's irrelevant what you find in the abdomen for this. Okay? If it fixes the abdomen, it's the right treatment for them. And it fixes the symptoms. You'll see, we're now in theory.
Just like in theory, your determination to go there is based on what, though? It's just like their history and how they're back?
No, at this point, well, if they have, yeah, if they're like totally sunk or whatever, it depends. You know, remember, it's almost, it's pretty universal. Okay, remember where, I know it's hard to kind of grasp it, but when you see it, it'll be a little easier. I started it from something that's not even related to acupuncture. I started it from a phrase in the Heart Sutra. That's a Buddhist, that's nothing to do with acupuncture. Okay? I'm starting it with a definition of what is ill-being, and I'm saying ill-being is going to involve sinking down. How much of that definition of countering sinking down how much can I milk it in order to give well-being to people? How much can I milk that concept of giving them easefulness by counteracting the drop, which is the opposite of easefulness? Okay? How do I counter the drop? Come from the side and lift them. That's what I'm trying to do. Now, you can sit down actually. Now, so when we look, this is a little bit a different subject at this point, but so if we look at the foot, so like a few years ago, Kiiko was really interested in what she called the dread points, which is the line sort of between spleen 3 and 65, but on the underside of the foot, which is on the opposite side of the shoe points, right? Shoe points is supposed to be very important. So remember, this is the arch that you're standing on. You have to stand on it. This determines your whole gait. Plus, by the way, stomach 41. So another thing, stomach 41 is going to be an extremely powerful point for you. Okay? Because it controls the whole way you're standing and creating the space in your body. Before you move into all this, they have adrenal, they have liver, they have that. Do they have space in their body? Do you remember space, light, knowledge of new possibilities is your primary concern? Not do you have liver deficiency? Okay, so I know it's kind of weird, but it's worthwhile going through, because what happens is then you have to do a lot less protocols. You have to go through a lot less options. So for example, the last 3-4 years, Kiiko's talked about this brand-new business for a long time. Okay, but the last 3 years, it's kind of like, this is what she's interested in. Ren and do. What does it mean? It means the space of the torso. They all want to be here. It's fine.
I'll be your patience.
So it's the creation of the space in the torso. Otherwise, your 5 organs don't have nowhere to do. They have no space to do anything. You've got to give it to them. Okay, so it's kind of prior to anything else. But on the other hand, it may be all you'll need to do. Okay, so let's look at the shoe points just for the sake of. Okay, so you look at spleen 3. Spleen 3 is called Tai Bai. Okay, the great white. But white is like the sun, okay, with something on top of it, like a little line. Okay, that's what white is. It's the whiteness of the dawn when the sun comes out. Okay, so it's something that rises. And of course we know the spleen rises, right? So in other words, there has to be, and the spleen is the arch, spleen 3 to spleen 4, this arch, okay, has to be activated in order to hold you up. Okay, liver 3 is called Tai Chong. Okay, Chong means to surge, to move up. Okay, so the great Chong is liver 3. Okay, stomach 43 is called Xianggu, is the sinking valley. Now we're kind of shifting over. UB65 is called Shugu, to bundle the bone, to take things and bundle them up. Okay, so this whole area you see has that area of the, what Kiiko will call the joy points, actually Mariano called the joy points. It has to do something with pushing you up and bundling you. Okay, the strength of these points has to do with you stepping on them all the time, and you're either bundling yourself or you're lifting yourself up in some manner. Gallbladder 41, Zu Ling Qi. Okay, Zu just means the leg. The Ling Qi is to face the tears. Okay, within the character of tears, the Qi, there is a person standing, and within the character to face, there is a person crouching or cross, like flat. So gallbladder 41 has something to do with flatness. That's why it's controlling the daimai, in my opinion. I can't say why they do that. And upright as well. Okay. A lot of people say daimai is the channel that wraps everything and allows you to lift. Okay. So again, you could develop a whole theory that daimai is the most important channel in the world because it's the thing that gives you the space for all the other vertical channels. It's just, all I'm just trying to suggest is start thinking. Don't take my thinking for it. The problem is these are the things that are not being talked about. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you ideas that this is kind of cute. Start playing in your own body and start figuring out what can be used. Okay, does that make sense? So you don't make huge purples out of it. Okay, so what time is it, just so that I don't... 11, okay. So, and we have someone at 1:30, so we have about an hour. Let's take someone and actually treat someone so you see a little bit more clearly what's going on. I know I'm just trying to figure out, do you have your medical history kind of pretty well lined up? Okay, we'll take 5 minutes break. Do you have? Yeah. Okay, so let's take literally no more than 5 minutes.